We are speaking with the one and only Nick Farkas, who, well, does everything basically in Montreal for a promoter, EVENKO. And Nick, we wanted to have you on today. First of all, bonjour. It's been a while since we've spoken, thanks to a great pandemic.
Yeah.
It has been a while. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so I'm curious to know now that things are slowly opening up. Let's start off with the basic. What is the reopening plan for you in terms of getting shows? I know you've announced Genesis, and I know you've announced some of these other ones, but currently in Montreal, you're only allowed 3,500. So how do you sort of plan to have major events with 20,000 people if we're still sort of limited to 3,000?
I mean, we're looking at what's happening in the States, looking at what's happening in the UK, looking at what's happening around the world, and hoping that, by the fall, if the numbers keep going the way they're going, that we'll be back at full capacity. I mean, that's the dream at this point right now. We're trying to, it's impossible. We can't, all these tours are touring through the US. So everything that's playing in the States in the fall is playing at full capacity. So we can't really put in offers. You can't really do Genesis at 3,500 capacity at the Bell Center. It just doesn't work financially. So we're hopeful that that we're able to do it in full capacity, and that if we've had a lot of discussions with most of these artists prior to the on sales, and everyone's aware of COVID. So if ever things had to get postponed, they get postponed, like we've been doing for the last 15 months. There's shows we've probably postponed 3-4 times already. So it's something we're getting good at. Unfortunately, I want to be good at, but
yeah, that's your new job. It's director of postponement.
Yeah,
it is probably the worst part of the last. I'd say since March last year. I mean, the worst part is literally, we wake up every morning, we have no idea. It's getting a bit better now because at least there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But postponing the festivals was like to once we decided to postpone them to 2021 now, and then the decision to postpone it to 2022. So you have your entire team working on programming festivals, booking shows, and it's the uncertainty, I think, that has really been hard on everybody, and trying to stay motivated. And it's been tremendously challenging, let's just say.
Let's just say that the 2-week pause that they promised us has been a little bit longer, right?
Yeah.
So how does EVENKO stay viable? I mean, how do the Bell Center, how do they just not go bankrupt? How did you manage to hold on for the last year?
I mean, fortunately, being in Canada, there was a lot of government programs to pay employees and stuff like that. But it's been tough. We've been we haven't done that much. We've done some streaming stuff over this period, and fortunately, we are also part of the Montreal Canadiens organization. So hockey started up again, so that's good for the whole company. We also, we have some artists that we work with, and record label stuff. So there's been a little bit of revenue coming in, so that's kind of helped us keep the lights on. The government grants and stuff, and it's just been kind of like just wait and hope and cut, and wait and hope and cut, and just try to keep the lights on, and then. Eventually we know we're going to get back into business. So it's and I think things, based on what I'm seeing and all the promoters I'm talking to stateside, it's everybody's, like, all the on sales have been huge. Our on sales for the fall and winter 2022 have been really, really, really strong. So it feels like everybody's coming back, and people are excited. Haven't seen shows, and for a lot of people it'll be like 18 months by the time this gets up and running again. So
yeah, I've forgotten what it's like.
Totally. I mean, I've seen some small cap 250 type shows, and we've seen drive-in stuff, and like enough streams and streams and stuff to last a lifetime. So
let me take you up on that for a second, because there was this sort of plan B to do the drive-in stuff and to do the streaming. And for me as a fan, it didn't really speak to me. I didn't feel like I wanted to go sit in my car to watch anything. And streaming, I'm like, well, I can just watch YouTube. I can punch up these bands anytime I want.
Put in the DVD, the Blu-ray,
Yeah. So how did you reach out to fans like me that were sort of tentative and say, hey, come on board? And how do you see that going down into the future? Do you see a way where you can incorporate the live shows and then, say, hey, we've got Genesis at the Bell Center and we're going to stream it live? I mean, I know, forget the rights thing for now, but how does that work into future stuff? Or was it like, we filled a gap, we're done?
I mean, I think going into prior to COVID, we realized how important content was becoming,
Right.
even in the live space. And we've been experimenting with a bunch of things over the years, different streams and stuff of some of the things we do. What came crashing to earth for us, I think, really was our inability to, like, we couldn't pivot. We didn't have enough. There wasn't the inventory, there wasn't the knowledge to pivot into a more content-driven, non-live format. So I think going forward, I think there's a lot of early on people, oh, I want to see so-and-so playing in his kitchen or
Right.
on his front porch, in his underwear or in his pajamas.
But it wore off reasonably quickly, unfortunately.
It wore off reasonably quickly, and I think that there is still an interest for stream. I mean, streaming is always, even prior to COVID, there was an interest in streaming, especially if you're not in a major market and you want to feel part of the actual experience. So I think going forward, it's going to be more of a hybrid. I think we're looking at, I've spoken to so many streaming companies and so many companies that say they have the answer in the future and everything.
Right. Well, we'll see.
Is going to be this and that, but I think the way I see it, at least, is a live show, especially if I think on the club level, it's going to be easier. The rights will be easier to negotiate. And
right.
if there's a good way to geo-target it and geo-gate it so that you're playing, let's say, Montreal at the Corona or the MTELUS or even the Bell.
And then Chicoutimi can see it, not the entire world. So
anything like east of Montreal could see it, in that way, the band's building up a fan base, even if the streams are super cheap and you're playing a club at 800 cap or 500 cap club. If you can get another, 100 streams in there, you're making some money. And I think that as the barrier and the cost for streaming has gone down, I see that as kind of the future, one of the future models going forward. And I think there will be enhanced, all the festivals will be doing enhanced streaming content, and, people want to hear what the bands have to say and hang out and go to catering and walk around and get on a golf cart.
We all love the catering. So what do you learn from this then? Because do you just go, when everything opens up, do you just go back to the way it was? Or do you have a solid pivot point now where you go, okay, we're ready for anything?
I don't think we do. I mean, not yet, but
all right. So you learned nothing over the last year.
We learned nothing, honestly. We have learned absolutely nothing. I think it's all evolve. It's an
It's an evolution. It's evolving.
Evolution. It's an evolving process as the technology improves, as all these things happen. I think the path will become clearer. Nothing will ever replace, in my opinion, nothing replaces live. I remember back in the day when I worked for House of Blues concerts and they brought out HOB.com and they'd wired all the clubs, and that was going to be the future. And people were going to watch concerts from their computers and their phones and their TVs. And I was like, no, they're not. Some might, some still might, but people want to be in, you want to be in the pit. You want to be there watching with your friends. You want to be enjoying the actual interaction with the band.
Which is funny because I learned that right away. There's a couple of, I always say to you, you should bring over this band Thunder. You should bring over, and they did streams and I watched them. And then I didn't watch them. It was just like, all right, I'm sitting in my chair. It's not comfortable. The headphones are getting hot. All right, I'm out. You had a plan, or you had three major festivals going on. No, in fact, more. You had Osheaga. We've had Heavy Montreal. We had Lasso. Talk to me about the state of those festivals, because Lasso was going to be launched, and then it wasn't launched, and then it wasn't launched again. How do those festivals survive, and what do you do with them?
The festival piece has been difficult, to say the least. Lasso we were super excited about, our first year of a country festival.
Yeah, Luke Bryan. I mean, come on, you can't go wrong.
Doesn't happen, and then the second year you can schedule it. It doesn't happen again. So we're going into year 3 of which will be year 1. We were looking at everything. We have an incredibly activated, engaged fan base for that festival already. Like we haven't done it yet, and we have a good following, good strong, social media presence. We're doing shows. We're going to continue to do shows all year round, like we do in all every single one of our festivals presents. Heavy does probably 100 shows a year that we're involved in. Osheaga, Ilsonic, all our brands. We like to keep the brands alive all year long. We want to keep them, keep people engaged with what we're doing. So going forward, Osheaga, Ilsonic, Lasso, 2022. Heavy, I think it's hard to say. It's tough to do, as you know, it's tough to do in years where we have a giant act like Rammstein coming through, or a Metallica, or an
Right.
AC/DC.
Yeah.
Right,
So
because they suck out all your ticket base.
they suck out the ticket base, and then you're left with the core, which isn't enough to really do what we want to do. So I don't know what we're
Well,
going
then
to
again,
do.
the Billie Eilish fans aren't the Rammstein fans, so it's like,
Oh
Right.
yeah,
No, but and in terms of being in Montreal, because there's other challenges beyond the pandemic, and we don't need to get into the whole thing. But do you see Osheaga being a Montreal festival, or at some point does it have to become an Ottawa festival or a Gatineau festival,
or a
because
Gunawaga
of
festival.
because of some of the challenges?
Yeah.
I think Osheaga to me is quintessentially Montreal. It's
It
about
has to be.
Yeah, it's from the beginning, its inception. We started it because a lot of the tours that were coming through didn't really represent a lot of the bigger the festival type stuff didn't really represent what we thought people in Montreal wanted to see, and eventually it evolved into something that was more draws from a huge amount of people from all over North America, but predominantly East Coast and
Right.
East Coast.
Massive success.
Yeah, so it's Montreal, the art, the food, the culture. That is what we wanted to do. So that one I can never see. I don't ever, obviously there's things beyond our control sometimes, but to me, it's a Montreal festival and it's got to be in the city.
Mhm.
So we're confident that it'll maintain, still be able to draw people from outside and still continue to do what it do. When we started it, we never thought it would get as big as it did. So if ever it did scale it down again, I guess we could live with that. But I think it feels strong. The on sales were good for 2020, and then a lot of people held on to their tickets for 21, and people are still holding on to their tickets for 22.
Wow.
So we're confident. We're confident that the brand is strong. We're confident that Lasso is strong. Sonic is probably is one of our fast. It grew the quickest out of all our festivals. So we're looking forward to a robust 2022. We're still trying to do something this fall, hopefully with the brands. Try to get some kind of outdoor, smaller, something.
Halloween fest.
Halloween, hopefully before that, because it gets a little chilly around Halloween and it can snow or rain. But end of September, early October. If we get the indication that the things are going to relax a bit on COVID regulations, we're definitely thinking of trying something just a little, just something to get people out.
An Osheaga Christmas. I mean, come on. I mean, so you'll have to do it. You might have to do it indoors. You might have to spend, 3 days at the Bell Center. And
no way, man. To put the stage on Beaver Lake and you're good to go.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, our weather is a challenge. I mean, you can have festivals in Texas going through, November, but here past Labor Day, I'm not standing outside.
The reality is, if we're in end of September, early October, and it's raining and snowing and sleeting, I still think people are coming. People are desperate, and that's what we want to give. We want to try to do something before we go into the hibernation mode, because I personally love the experience of seeing music outdoors. I can't. It's part of it's part of what drives me. I love club shows. I love arena shows, but outdoors is really where I find, where you get that feeling, when we're at Heavy or 77 or any of our festivals, I walk in and you just see all those smiling faces and everybody and the energy, and it's contagious. And I would love to be able to be in the position this year to do something, relatively decent sized outdoors. Right now the capacity is 3,500, which is hard to make work. But if we could get double that, or close to 10,000, I think we could do something pretty cool.
Challenging have the last year has been for you, because you've had the venues under reconstruction, you've had the pandemic. I mean, at some point you just say, "Oh, the hell with this! I'm just going to go work at the Benihana. Leave me alone."
I tried that now. We have those discussions every so often. I think staying motivated. And for the team as well, we're used to, we're rock and roll people, right? We're used to the show going on. That's the end of the scene. The show must go on. The show isn't going on. The show is going to go on eventually. And the thing is, the show doesn't go on eventually. That's not the saying. So to completely rethink, to wake up every morning and do the same thing, which is I don't know when things are going to start up again. I don't know this. I don't know that. Our poor production team has come up with bazillion different concepts for potted, odd, goofy looking, strange, multi-bathroomed, different concepts
They just spend the
outside.
day. They spend the days just cleaning the office and redecorating. It's like, all right, well, today we're just gonna do Nick's office. Let's put a poster over here.
They're drawing, they've been coming up with designs and stuff for capacities and whatever's permitted, we've been trying to do. So it would be, I think going forward, we just need to see a show. And
Right.
then our whole team will be supercharged again. Even just going, the damn truth last year at the drive-in, when we did our first drive-in show, I was like,
Yeah.
it's just the oddest, weirdest,
Yeah.
realist thing that it's not conducive to really seeing a band, but just to see a band, it was.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good chick, but it's not, viable going forward. I mean, I'm not going like, I'm going to the drive-in. Like, there's a reason drive-ins kind of died out. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
You know?
it's the wrong vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, and it has nothing to do with the bands. We're not saying anything about the damn truth, but it's just you go there and you go, I'm in my car.
Yeah. Or you're outside your car next to another car or next to four people who are next to their car, and it's it's like
come on, I want to smell their BO. I want to be spit on. It's like, come on.
It might take a while for the spitting on people to come back. I think that could be the last of the COVID things to be relaxed.
Yeah.
Well, last time we saw Kiss, Gene Simmons right in front of me, and he spit out his mic, the foam on his mic, and it landed right on me. I was like, nice, Gene spit on me. That's great. Actually, no, Nick, talking about concerts coming back and stuff. It's so funny because a couple of my friends, like just straight up average Joes, we were talking about this the other day, and they're like, yeah, I really want to go see Billie Eilish, The Weeknd, Justin Bieber, all these, like modern pop acts. But concert tickets have gotten gradually more and more expensive over the years, to the point where it's getting difficult for a family of four to go and see a concert of, little Emily's favorite artist. Who is... what's driving up the price of concert tickets? Is it the artists wanting more money? Is it the cost of production? Like, is it the local promoter? Like, who decides what a concert ticket costs?
It's a complicated process. I mean, a lot of it comes from, what the artist guarantee is what the artist is looking for to play a market. It's so a lot. I mean, it's as old as capitalism, right? It's supply and demand. Right. So I think what a lot of artists realized, and what a lot of promoters, everybody realized, is that if they were charging $40 for a ticket and scalpers were buying them and selling them for $300, who wins? The scalpers win, and they don't provide anything to the ecosystem. They don't pay for the artist to record. They don't do anything other than, take advantage of an underpriced ticket. So over time, I think the ticket prices have caught up with supply and demand. I think there's always going to be club shows. In my mind, there's always going to be opportunities to see music. And some arena bands, there's still a lot of arena bands out there that are trying to keep the ticket down.
Totally.
Yeah. Most fighters are trying.
Yeah, I think a lot of artists try. A lot of artists do their best, but at the same time, they're trying to come up with, as the promoters are and as the venues are, trying to come up with ways to keep the tickets in the hands of, like Billie Eilish. It was all verified fan through Ticketmaster, so that means they're not letting the scalpers buy the tickets. So even though the tickets are not what they were, I was looking at a poster from a Donald K. Donald show 30 years ago, and it was like $15.
The good old days, as we call them.
Those days aren't coming back.
I know.
The arena level, and there's a bunch of other mitigating factors, like you said, production, and artist revenue. I mean, back in the day, artists toured to support their record sales, and they supported their records. So they toured. It wasn't a big, it wasn't the big money-making profit source that it is now. So with streaming and with, the people stopping buying music, they've had to come up with other revenues. So therefore, the whole value of the live performance has increased incredibly for the artist and for management, agents, et cetera, et cetera. When I started, no one ever toured Canada in January and February. We got into the business. We're like, we're kicking butt. It's October, it's November, December, get an office. And then I'm like, where are the shows? No one's selling us any show.
They don't come back till May after that.
And everyone was like, who's going to tour Canada in January? I'm like, good point. But now you see it 365. Can we play on Easter? Can we play on, Valentine's Day? Can we do? It doesn't matter. There's no tab. other than Christmas, and even then you'll get a Cirque du Soleil type show. But you
Yeah.
know, other than there's no taboo dates anymore. There's no taboo periods of the year.
Yep.
Artists are touring constantly with the access to music, thanks to streaming and people getting turned on to music through podcasts. Everything that's out
Social
there,
media,
there's so much volume. Like
Yeah.
you have to trade tapes.
And by the way, it's funny. I asked Dave. I asked Dave Mustaine once because they had a show at the Metropolis at the time in January, like the 14th of January. I said, "Why are you playing Montreal?"
Was that the Ice Storm show?
That was the Ice Storm show.
That was an amazing show.
Right. And so I said to him, I said, "Well, why are you playing here in January? It's cold." He goes, I go, "Nobody plays here." He goes, "Exactly." He goes, "I have no competition in the market. You want to see a show? It's me. That's it." And I was like, "Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? Smart on you." And that's probably why they built up a fan base here.
And unfortunately, Dave's strategy has now become a worldwide strategy. People tour everywhere and they expanding into markets and playing in places that they never played before. So it's I think it's it's a tough question to answer, but there are so many facets to it. And revenue, I think, is probably number one.
Yeah. Well, listen, I can't wait to get back to the Bell Center because the best hot dogs in the world are at the Bell Center.
I agree.
I used to say to Mitch all the time when the first pandemic, I'm like, Bell Center should be on Uber Eats delivering those dogs because
they should have been.
Yeah.
See, talking about pivot, there's your idea, man, right there. Sell the Bell Center food.
When the Habs were playing, man, Uber Eats those dogs. Oh man, I would have been all over that.
It's a good point. I will bring it up in our next meeting.
See, we're here for the ideas.
Yep. There you go.
Well, there you go. Thank you so much. And I'm glad to see things coming back. When that Genesis tour was announced, I was like, oh, yeah. And then I went, wait, it's not open yet, but we will be. By November, we will be.
The first arena bands I ever saw at the old Montreal Forum was Genesis back in the day, many days ago. But I'm looking forward to seeing him again. We did Phil Collins before the pandemic, and
we was fantastic. I was there. Oh my God,
he was really good. So Genesis, I can't even imagine. Like so many people coming out of the woodwork going, "Oh my God, Genesis is coming." People I don't think I've seen shows in 10 years. So.
Right. And I'm looking forward to Lasso. By the way, I'm not a country guy, but I just think it's a smart plan because where else do you see a country festival in Quebec of that size? You don't.
No. With mainstream artists like that as well, and the lineup was fantastic. You had everybody from Gabby Barrett all the way up to Brad Paisley, and I was like, these are radio people that everybody knows, and they're major stars. So,
smart, very smart.
Cool. We're excited for that one. That one took a lot of convincing to the people. Everyone's like, Montreal's not.
Why did it take a lot of convincing though? Because Quebec is such especially in French Quebec, it's such a big country scene.
The weird thing about Quebec in my entire career is, because Montreal does not have a country radio station, Nashville was like, we cannot go there. Yeah. There is no way to promote our music. So with Sirius and everything that's come out, like Sirius, one of the most popular stations in Quebec is country. So, Spotify country list, everything is, we suddenly realized, like we saw it with Luke Bryan when he played the Bell Center and sold out faster.
That show was nuts. That was amazing.
Sold out faster than anything we'd done in like he sold out 15,000 tickets in a day, not even, for a country artist in Montreal. So I think that kind of people took notice after that. And
Keith Urban did well at the Bell Center too.
He was great. And
that was a fantastic show. That was like a Bon Jovi show of the 80s, but with country music. Yeah, it really was.
Country has become the new, in a lot of ways is rock and roll, right? It's
it's rock and roll with a fiddle. Really.
With a little slightly different instrumentation sometimes, but it's all good. I've been an alt country fan for a long time. Recently with Lasso gotten a lot more into it, and there's I can't wait to see Chris Stapleton eventually in Montreal. I can't wait to see. There's a lot of amazing artists out there that we're really excited about, and just to see the fan base. And like I said, with Lasso, as soon as we announced, all of a sudden we had thousands and thousands of fans. It took us years to get that for Osheaga. It took us literally years to get the kind of following we have for a festival that hasn't even happened yet. So.
Well, the cool thing about Osheaga is that it's more than just a music festival now. It really is a lifestyle thing. Like, it's like, you going to Osheaga? Oh, no, I'm not. What do you mean you're not going to Osheaga? Everybody's going to Osheaga. You got to go. You spend the weekend there. It's, it's like you're not cool if you don't go to Osheaga now.
It's funny because we're actually doing something in August with the Mud and Design Festival. It's like a fashion festival in Montreal. just on the whole concept of fashion and festival fashion and all this stuff, because it, like you said, it's become such a, what do you wear at Oceaga and stuff like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I laugh about it because I've been wearing the same thing for like 15 years, shorts and t-shirt. But
Yeah.
people get their outfits together. I know Mitch does for heavy. Like
I do. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Oceaga, my daughter turns 18 August 1st, and that was going to be her moment. And you should have seen the crying fit she had when I told her it was canceled. I mean, it really does affect people at a different level. And
Yeah.
I was surprised. She's like, no, I've been waiting for this. I've been, since I was 13 to turn 18 and be at Oceaga. And I went, pandemic. And it devastated her for real.
I'm sad to hear that. Well, 19th birthday, 19 will be the new 18 for.
It'll be the new 18, but I know you're disappointed to hear that, but it's good because it shows that there's a passion for the festival, and that's what you wanted to create.
Yeah, and the younger
it worked.
generation, like we're seeing it on my friends' kids and teenagers. They really embrace the whole idea, and it's like you said, it's more than just music. It's about the hang and the food and everything that we always wanted it to be about. It's actually about that, and the music, the discovery. And I look back at the first years of doing it, and we had, we had to convince all these older fans that like Sonic Youth and Ben Harper at the time to take a chance on these younger bands. And now it's the total opposite, where all of the kids that are there have to take that chance and listen to, a Jack White or something. Or it's like a re-education process. It's funny. It's just, it can come full circle since the start.
Yeah. And on that, I've got to head out to another chat, but thank you for this today, Nick. Absolute pleasure.
Oh man, thanks for having me. Super fun to talk about music.
For a change.
Yeah. Well, next time, my buddy Adam wanted me to tell you that the Bad Brains at the Rialto in '89 was one of the greatest shows ever. And we wanted to talk a little bit more about the punk stuff next time and all that. So
for sure. I'd love to do that.
No.
That'd be great. You let me know when.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Sounds good.
Cool,
We'll see you later.
All right.
Cheers. Bye-bye now.
Bye.